All right, welcome everyone. This is the fitness panel, as you can tell, and me. Fitness and me. Yesterday was doctors and me. There's fitness and me. So this is a Q&A session. Now, as I said yesterday, I want to give a few caveats before we begin. The first one being, please do not ask for, help me with my own personal thing, because that's way too of an involved question for any one of these individual brains to get behind. So keep the questions as a general kind of thing, as something that you think that is a question that might be of interest to a large portion of the audience. Now, we have a select group here, starting at the end. Danny Vega, Mr. Sean Wells, Teresa Dodd. We heard her Kiwi Woo earlier, and it's fantastic. Mr. William Schofeld, also known as the Red Power Ranger. Crystal Love, and Robert Keto Savage Sykes. Now, don't let all the bulging biceps fool you. The questions don't have to be strictly about lifting. You can ask cardio questions if you dare. But let's go ahead and form a line. Let's see what we have for questions. Feel free. Go ahead. Who wants to go first? We got some people coming up. Everyone's so polite. After you. No, after you. And when you do ask the question, make sure you get real close to the microphone.
Okay. Where do you start? Weights? Cardio? Do you do a mix? Where does somebody who hasn't worked out start?
I want Teresa to handle this first.
I have to go first?
Yes.
For me, I got into the gym and just started to feel comfortable in that space, and I picked something that I knew was going to make me want to get in there every day. So I wanted to just do a little bit of cardio, try out some really basic routines around some of the machinery, and to feel like I could find my way around my gym. When I got serious about what I wanted to do with my bodybuilding, then I chose a personal trainer, and so I found that enormously beneficial, because although I'd by that point worked out how to put some basic programs together for myself, all of a sudden my repertoire of the exercises I was able to do on my own got better and better and better, and that only improved my confidence in being able to move around the gym. So it's just getting in there and having a start and feeling comfortable in that space.
Okay, Crystal, I'd like for you to take a swing at that as well.
I will probably just have to second that. When I first started, I had the goal of getting on stage. So I actually hired a personal trainer before I even stepped foot in the gym, because I wanted to know exactly what I would be doing and when I would be doing it and how much I needed to be doing. So I would highly recommend that, or picking something that you just love to do or you would prefer to do rather than something else if you're ready to get active.
All right, now, any of you gentlemen have anything to add to that?
Sure.
Okay.
I would say that low-intensity, steady-state cardio is great for movement, great for burning calories, but not great for radically changing body composition. Most adaptations are going to happen when you're pushing the limits and you're kind of pushing that hormetic response, out of like homeostasis. So where you're going to find the most benefit is high-intensity interval training, especially for the amount of time expended.
Do you know what that means? High-intensity interval training?
Yeah, that's where you do the short bursts of high cardio or high strength. Well, I guess I don't know, because I was thinking the very high intense spurts of exercise with a little break, and then you do it again over and over for 4 minutes or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like sprints. Exactly.
Like sprints? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing I'd like to point out, I'm talking to you. Forget everyone else. I'm just talking to you for a minute.
Thank you.
Do you like to be around people, or do you like to be alone?
People.
Find something that you can do with people.
Okay.
Whether it's a game, a sport, or something. Look, we as adults, we don't play enough. It's true. Think about it. When you were a kid, you went outside, you loved to play, and you loved the community and the building, you made friends playing games. We need to start playing some more games. I read something online the other day in one of my Facebook groups where a neighborhood started a kickball team, a kickball league. And the different streets had had all their teams in their pit. That's a gorgeous idea, right? So if you like to be around people, find something that you do with people. So if you like to run and you're around people, join a running group, right? You meet 3 times a week and you run, right? So you you want to do something you enjoy. I think, Teresa, did you say that? Find something you enjoy. That is, you can't, more than anything else, where do I start? What do you like? And if you got to find what you like and then build from there.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a great answer.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi. I fast. I also keep LCHF. I've spent a lot of time not having glucose and glycogen in my muscles. I keep driving it down all the time. All the exercise systems like HIIT, all these other systems are all about punching out your glucose. I got nothing. Okay? What can you guys do to help me enhance my fat burning in as fast a time as possible so that I can get the benefits of HIIT, but HIIT doesn't do it because there's nothing there.
That's not necessarily true, though. You do have glycogen.
Oh, I burned the shit out of it. It's
I
gone.
understand.
It's gone. Okay, I'm telling you, I've already taken that off your table. You can't use that.
Let's make sure we keep
No.
the language to family friendly, please. Thank you.
The FASTER study with Jeff Volek, they showed that the athletes were so well adapted to gluconeogenesis when they had protein after, they repleted glycogen just as well as an athlete that had carbohydrate. So you make these adaptations over time. So it's not necessarily true that you have no glycogen in your muscle. But I understand what you're saying.
Oh, well, I fasted all the way. I'm exercising fasted as we had the keto hack, the body hack just last session. Exercise fasted. I'm burned everything out as much as I possibly can. Do you guys, this table of experts, have a?
I'm not the expert, but I do want to ask you a question.
Sure.
What kind of exercise are you talking about doing?
Well, I go to a personal trainer twice a week,
But
fasted.
that's not an
Okay,
exercise.
but that's all weight resistance
Okay,
training.
lifting?
I then do twice a week, I do personal body weight work, which is basically a different kind of resistance training.
Sure.
None of it is cardio. I do 5-kilometer walks 2 other times a week.
Here's what I would recommend to add to that if you're not doing it already. Are you familiar with the Maffetone method of cardio endurance training?
No.
Okay, so it is a low heart rate target. Target 2, is that right, Danny? Zone 2, sorry. Zone 2, that you keep your heart rate at your 180 minus your age, so it's a very, very low. So you may start running for about 100 feet, and then you have to walk to keep your heart rate down. Keep doing that. Keeping your heart rate in that zone is a good way to maintain that fat burning level on a regular basis, to really start keeping your body in there. So especially if you are depleting glycogen stores quickly, as you're saying, it's a way to keep that steady state without having to worry about the bonk of a possible, of a potential HIIT thing where you I got nothing left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm the idiot, so you guys clarify. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm assuming that you want to be in maximum fat burning because you want to improve your body composition, you want to burn more fat. Is that why you're asking? Or
Well,
you're saying because you don't have enough energy, or is it because you want to improve your body comp?
I reversed my pre-diabetes.
Awesome.
Let's push it all the way to the end.
Okay.
That's what's going on here. I don't want to be like you. I want to be more like, say, pick a Steve Trevor from Wonder Woman. I like his look, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you do Thor. I want to do Steve Trevor. Okay?
So basically, you want to improve body comp. It's not, your main concern is not that you don't have enough energy. It's that you want to improve. You want to maximize fat burning because you want to lower your body fat, right?
Right, that's happening.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good that the gym work and the body weight work is doing all the other stuff. But if the answer you were going to give me is go do HIIT, well, okay, I do that, and it's
No.
gone in literally first 5 minutes. I got nothing. The trainer
Yeah.
goes, I've never seen this before, and it's like, well, I'm fasting.
No, the reason why I'm asking you is because from what I am understanding, it seems like you want to lower your body fat. So you want to burn more fat, you want to lower your body fat. To me, it seems like maybe add another day of lifting, right?
Heavy.
Or, and I would do more lifting, and I would possibly increase my protein. And that's what if I understand you correctly. That's
Right.
Okay, Will, can you take a swing at this?
Can I just want to say there's definitely something to be said for doing both forms of fitness, so doing the anaerobic and the aerobic, utilizing your glycolytic metabolism, lipolytic, but there could be so many different things at play here, that are stalling weight loss. So the first thing I would always look to is diet. And I know a lot of people look into nuts, dairy, things like that happen to be, troublesome for a lot of people. So I would say look at those. It sounds like you're already doing the fasting, you're training fasted. One thing that worked for me, which I'm now seriously reconsidering sleep because of Dr. Lemansky's talk, because that is definitely my weak link. Sleep seems to be extremely important, especially your cortisol levels. And the last thing that really worked for me was actually increasing my protein and dropping my fat a bit. Now that's a very case-by-case thing, and it does seem to be controversial within the keto community whether or not you want to be doing that, but that seemed to help me burn a lot of my own body fat, and combined with fasting, with cardio, with weightlifting, that was kind of what got me to so the in-body test gave me 3.8%, which sounds like I was going to die, but I was probably somewhere around 4 or 5% body fat, so that's what helped me get down to that.
And keeping in mind the fat macro ratio is really contingent upon your metabolic state, insulin resistance, the whole bit. So you've got to play around with it and see what the results are, because none of these people can tell you whether or not that's accurate. You got to find out for yourself and play with it and be willing to experiment a little bit. But if it's body comp, lift heavy. I mean, there's not a single study that'll show you anything other than lifting heavy is the best thing for body comp, aside from diet, assuming you've got your diet dialed in. Lifting heavy is the best way for body comp to improve it. Anyone disagree with that? Get off the stage if you do. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Yeah, I've got one quick comment about endurance training, and then I've got a question about strength. Just for any of the people that are doing endurance out there, this year I just ran my first, what I would consider fully fat-adapted half marathon. Record time, took in no carbohydrate calories during the race, and actually I didn't even need to take in any water during the race. So I just ran straight on through.
Now, let me ask you a question. As you screamed by the people getting Gatorade, did you yell "suckers" as you were like, yeah? Got it.
Yes, I remember myself being there, and I probably lost a minute and a half.
Loser, 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 as you were going by. Very good.
But anyway, after meeting Danny last year, I was motivated to start some strength training as well.
Isn't everybody? I mean, honestly.
I mean, how can you not be? But anyway, my question is that I feel kind of conflicted because I'm doing one meal a day, and now I'm adding strength training. And I sat down earlier this week with about 1.5 pounds of hamburger patties with the intention of finishing that as my meal, and didn't quite get through it. And so I'm concerned that I may not be getting enough protein with my single meal a day for the weight training that I'm doing.
Why couldn't you get through it?
I just was stuffed. I was going to vomit if I ate any more.
Does anyone have a problem with that?
I'll eat the meat. I mean, I'll eat it, but that's the only thing I have to say. But no.
Well, right, no, you were stuffed, so that's your body signal to say, I'm done, right? Right? Anyone disagree with that?
Can I just ask, how do you feel on one meal a day, throughout the day? How are your energy levels? Do you feel stressed? Do you feel hungry?
No, I've been doing one meal a day for a while, so I'm pretty used to that kind of eating style, but I haven't noticed any increase in my protein intake since I started strength training. So I don't know if I should be concerned about that, or if my body will just tell me when I need more.
Robert, will you take a swing at this?
Do you know what your protein intake is currently?
At least 70 up to 150 grams a day.
That's plenty. You can build muscle on that, no problem. No problem.
Okay, the number one test to find out is, are you getting weaker on the same lifts over time?
No, I'm adding weight every month.
You're building muscle.
Answer, there you go.
The only thing that I would tell you is, I would say, if they were different, because it seems like everything's good. If things were like what happened with me, which was last year, I felt like one meal a day was the right thing to do, and so I was extending my fasts, and they were not necessarily because I wasn't hungry. It was because I was starting to be like, is it 18 hours yet? Is it 20 hours yet? That was me not doing that. And then what I noticed was that my lean body mass came down when I tested next, and then when Robert and I started working together, I started eating post-workout, and I felt better. But that's a different situation. You're doing great with one meal a day. So if you're doing great, I wouldn't change it. If you're doing great with one meal every other day, I wouldn't change it.
Okay.
I would also like to add, you have a magnificent mustache. Don't change that either.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Paulette, you're up.
Hi, I'm Paulette. And this may be the wrong question for this group because you guys are all way too young.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. It's relative.
44? Yeah.
So in my 30s, I lifted heavy. I was kind of a gym rat. Didn't do it again until I hit 60. And when I started, one of the trainers at the gym, when I told him I was going to do, I'm doing the 5x5, and I told him I was going to do that, and he said those words you don't want to hear. Women your age should not do overhead presses. And I said, well, challenge accepted. And so I've been doing the 5x5, but I've been doing it now for a little over a year. And I do struggle with increasing any weight on the overhead press. Like, the most I ever got to was 50. And it can really bother me. So I had to kind of think, is there something to that when women get older?
Hold on, before we go on, because
Yes.
I want Teresa to answer this question, to address this question first. But before we go on, that's not the whole story, because you're just talking about the one lift that you're having trouble
Okay.
with. You've set personal records for all the other lifts
Yes,
that
I
you've
have.
done. So just
Yes.
one lift, I just want to, you're not giving us the full color picture here. All
Okay,
right, so
I can now bench press 150 pounds.
that's
so
what I'm saying.
pretty
Like
good
you,
about
yeah,
that. I
that's
feel
what I'm
good
saying.
about that.
And you look amazing for
Yeah.
60.
How old are you?
62.
That's incredible.
All right, so
Okay.
Teresa, would
You do. You look amazing.
Thank you.
I think the thing is with progression of your weightlifting that I work best and I have my personal trainer, so I've got the benefit of being able to do that. But having someone there to spot you so that you can actually feel that you're in a safe place and you're not going to drop those weights on yourself to be able to try and push the boundary. You only have to get one rep, for that to be an improvement on your last lift that you could do. And then the next week you might be able to do it again, but it might be 2 reps. And you can do it slowly and over time, but you can build just little incremental increases on that. But you might just need a little bit of support and perhaps a training buddy to get you through that sometimes.
Crystal?
Okay.
I definitely agree with Teresa, and I don't know. I guess that is actually a really hard lift. I think especially for women, but for I think anybody to get heavier. It is just it's a harder lift to add weight to. So don't think down on yourself if all of your other lifts are going up. Just because he said it on that one thing does not mean that he was right, or she, whoever the trainer is. Don't think of it that way. It is a tough lift. So it has nothing to do with your age or anything like that. It's just a harder lift. And for some, it's just, we all have weaker lifts than others as well.
You might want to look at it's like you can get caught up in the actual lift, but you might want to work with a trainer and do some other things so that you have more mobility with stability through that range of motion. And then you might be able to improve that lift.
One of
you
the
can't
things,
just stick to that lift.
Exactly, and I'm glad you said that. One of the things that I was going to comment on that I like Danny so much about is he will be able to identify what lift you're trying to do, and there's 6 supplemental kinds of lifts or movements that you can do to aid that particular one compound lift, so that when you can strengthen and support those requisite movements in order to get that one compound lift, it helps to benefit that. Right. There's nothing, compound lifts, anyone disagree compound lifts or where it's at? Yeah, I mean, all total. But just like power lifters, they've got to work on the component parts of those lifts, the explosive power and those different ranges of motion. So doing that with a trainer in a safe environment so that you know that you can, because nobody wants to drop the weight on themselves.
Or fall backwards.
Or fall
so that
backwards.
It feels like you're going to.
Right. Yeah, so
Okay.
there you go.
But it's important to
Practical
not just have increased mobility, like just stretching. You need to have the stability through that range.
Yeah.
And that's where you need to work with a trainer.
Go ahead, Robert.
Okay, great.
I injured my chest, and I couldn't do that very movement for quite some time. So I switched to using a standing incline or a standing press, but with cables. And the cable is going to be a constant tension, and it's going to help with your stability. And then, having recovered, my compound barbell press increased by like 20, 30 pounds after doing the cables. So try that.
So injure your chest. Then, no? that
I
good?
just don't want to injure my shoulders at this point in my life.
Oh, wait, one more.
I want to get specific too because the overhead press, like everyone here has said, is super hard to increase. Like a 5-pound PR is a big deal, and one of the things that you might want to look at is, we'll talk after, but like bringing your grip in, getting your triceps stronger. There's a million things. You change a few things, I know this because I specifically had this problem, and a strongman who they do a lot of overhead pressing gave me some of those things. So it's not that you're weak, it's that you may want to give your triceps more involvement, so you bring your grip in and you can involve your triceps more. There's lots of things. Involve your back involve your lats on the way down, so that you're basically on the way down, you're saving that muscle and then bringing it back up. There's lots of different things that you can do, so it's not just a strength thing.
All right. Thank you.
We'll have you like Atlas pretty soon. Don't you worry. Yes, sir.
So I'm a hardcore road warrior.
Can you scoot a little bit closer? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a hardcore road warrior. The only two things that are consistent are the asphalt in the hotel room, interval training on the asphalt, got that wired, hotel room. Talk to me, suggest.
Why don't...
As far as food goes?
I've been keto 18 months or so, never going
Are you
back.
Are you asking what exercises you can do
What
in a hotel?
exercises in the hotel room to supplement the work that I do, the interval training I do on the road?
I'd like Will to take a crack at that, since he travels a lot.
So what's the goal here, though? Is it to continue to decrease fat, or are you trying to increase muscle?
Overall strength.
Overall strength?
Overall strength and endurance, keep things balanced.
Yeah.
To match what I'm doing on my legs and cardiovascular,
Yeah.
I need something else.
Yeah.
What is that? How do I use the hotel room to do that?
So, I mean, obviously, hotel gyms, if you're able to do that, but the one thing that I found really beneficial when I'm traveling is calisthenics. So I have a jump rope, and I just need a chair, and that's about all I need. And there are some great progression programs with calisthenics, so you could check out any one of those. But honestly, it's like push-ups, handstand push-ups, doing bridges, doing jump squats, doing jump lunges. You can get pretty much a full body workout with next to no equipment. And then I'll also throw in, like you're mentioning, zone 2 cardio. So I'll jump rope for 30 minutes, and I'll get zone 2 cardio from that. Didn't have to go to the gym the whole time. So in about 30, 40 minutes, you can get a pretty solid workout. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with Ted Naiman, but he does these 15-minute, I think it's every single day, one set to failure. Right. 15 minutes. The guy's shredded, so that helps as well. So.
Has anybody ever jumped rope like for an exercise before? Like not in gym school class when you were a kid. It sucks.
It's hard.
But it's really good for you. It's one of the best. I would also just like to add, just as an alternative idea, franchises like Anytime Fitness, 24-hour fitness, what's the, Crunch Gym, these places they've got thousands of franchises across the country, and if you've got a membership to one, you've got a membership to all of them. So if it's someplace close by, you can hit their gym while you're there. Anybody here like a traveling nomad, like these two guys are about to be? Like you just live in your van? Like you've decked out your van? No? Nobody? That surprises me. Oh, we got one. Okay, we got one. We got two. Right, but that's one of the tactics that they use for their fitness routine, is to get a membership. It's cheap, and plus it's a gym in every city that you go to is an idea.
Perfect. You could do planks as well. You can burn out on those, and you could do high-intensity interval training sprints out in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. You can run stairs in a hotel. Just run up and down the stairs.
Yeah, like I said, got the pavement. It's the other half. Thank you very much.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. Yeah.
But they're in 7 parts each? No?
Kind of, actually.
Okay.
So,
right.
yeah. Okay, so when your energy levels aren't like as high as they usually are, I work out in the morning, and some mornings they're not as high. Instead of like a pre-workout or maybe a pre-workout, what would you recommend to boost the energy level for a real, like, a good workout?
Okay, here's the order. I want Sean to go first, then Danny, then Teresa, then Crystal, then William, and then Robert.
Okay, let's go.
Wow. So I like to use, in the morning, I use actually something.
Hold the mic closer to you. Thank you.
Something that's called Genius, because I don't use caffeine. It's a pre-workout. I like taurine, beta-alanine, creatine, some of the basics. And I like using greens as well. But I think you could use exogenous ketones for this example. The C8 MCTs, those are like coconut oil, and we were just talking about this. MCTs are about 3 times better than coconut oil at raising ketones. C8's about 3 times better than that. So it's about 10x over using coconut oil. So it's a good burst for energy. And then I really like the adaptogens, like rhodiola, ashwagandha. So I like kind of I like optimizing myself rather than stimulating myself. Methylcobalamin, which is an active form of B12, some of those kinds of things. It's a lot better than using caffeine. There's been studies done with animal models that, like, by the 3rd day of using caffeine, they needed that level of caffeine to get to baseline, to where everyone else already is. So when you see people in line at Starbucks and they're like, I need my caffeine, oh my God, I need my fix, they really do. It's a physiological dependency to get to baseline, to where everyone is. So,
and it tastes terrible.
Yeah, I wouldn't focus on caffeine. I would focus on some of these other things. Yeah.
All right. Who's next? There we go.
So I would listen to him when it comes to like the supplement side of things. I rely on a really long warm-up. Like it takes my warm-up about 20 minutes before I'm really, and I go in there, and when I always train in the morning, and so whether I like it or not, whether I feel good or not, I have to go through that warm-up. And by the time I'm done with that warm-up, I feel awesome. And so what I do is I break my warm-up into do something like with intervals. So like I do like rowing intervals, short sprints, like 100 meter, 200 meter with a minute to 2 minute rest. And then during that rest period, if I'm gonna do legs, I'll do some squats during the rest. Then I'll do a more specific warm-up where I'm kind of like doing like a dynamic warm-up where I'm walking and I'm taking my muscles through the range of motion. Then I'll do a power, like a box jump, and then I'll do the squat. So by the time I squat, I am warm and I'm good. So that's another way to really wake yourself up and get that energy, even if don't have it when you're there.
So I'm going to interrupt really quick. So one of the things, though, with that is, like, if you have knee problems, that's going to be my next question. Is with.
Okay,
so
then
I can pause.
Okay, good. Please. But I was going to say this question about energy that Danny said is you warm up whether you like it or not, right? So you get in and you're like, this sucks. Go through your routine, because by the time you're done with your routine, you'll be ready to go through your workout. If you just start on your workout, I don't want to do this, forget it, right? But you've already put yourself in the mindset, okay, it's work time, right? So from a practical movement perspective, it's good to have a workout or a warm-up routine. Go ahead, Sean.
2 super quick things. I forgot to mention creatine, and I'm a huge fan of that. But the other thing is, to the shock of maybe this crowd, you can do a targeted ketogenic diet where you have a little bit of carbs, 15 grams high glycemic carb, about 30 minutes pre-workout. There's a couple interesting studies that you can do a mouth rinse with something like Gatorade and spit it out, and you get the same ergogenic benefit without actually consuming the carbohydrate. So it's something to experiment with.
Okay, who's next?
My favorite pre-workout that I'll use first thing in the morning if I'm training first thing is just a black coffee with MCT powder. There's nothing else. I don't supplement with anything else. The only other thing that I've implemented this year, which I've found really successful, is looking at my morning routine and what I'm doing first thing in the morning. And I usually have about 30 or 40 minutes at home before I will leave after getting up, before I go down to the gym. I will alter the order of these things that I do, but it may include some kind of combination of meditation, a vision board, 10 minutes of reading, some journaling. There's a couple of different things that I do. I have lots and lots of podcasts that I follow. Sometimes it's just something that I need to get my head in the right space and get down there. But everything that Sean and Danny have already said are definitely things that I've used as well.
It's kind of getting parasympathetic.
Yeah. Crystal?
I'm going to take this a different direction and say it's partly in the mental. So if there is someone that you admire, go look at their Instagram, go look at their YouTube video, go watch a video of them lifting or running or whatever it is that you love to do. Watch them. And mine is like Dana Lynn Bailey, Cassandra Martin. I will watch videos of them lifting before I do that lift.
You watch videos of me too?
Yeah. Or, even exactly like that. Like, get a partner. Like, Robert and I work out together. every single day. And he is motivation to me, whether I like it or not. Watching him lift is encouraging to me. So just watching someone that you admire or that can push you, that's the way I would go.
Will?
I'll say to that end, there are two things that I look at. One is mindset going into training, and the second would be your actual energy. So, I mean, that's all the physical stuff. Your sleep, your hormones, your electrolytes, for example. That, I think, is something that we haven't touched on much yet, but looking into, is your sodium up, magnesium, potassium, how are you doing electrolyte-wise? Are you getting enough sleep? Now, if everything is technically set, and you should be able to go to the gym, and you're just like a loaded gun, but it's not working, I think that some of that could be mindset. So one thing that I like to do in the morning, and I really like that you mentioned morning routines, I love to get up and I read through sort of my top yearly goals, the things that I'm really aiming at, and then I'll also write down my daily goals for the day. So you can incrementally see how what you're doing that day is affecting you this year, which is going to obviously affect the rest of your life. But knowing the importance of every single day, and then getting a training partner, I think that's tremendously helpful. And when you're kind of slacking, then they're going to be the person that's going to get you in there. So the physical and the mental.
Robert?
I definitely want to go into the mindset rabbit hole, but I'm not. I'm going to take it one direction different. If you're feeling differently in the morning, some days good, some days bad, I would look at your last night's meal. The food that you eat the night before, if you're working out in the morning, is fueling the morning's workout. Like last night, for instance, all the beef was gone. They didn't make enough beef. So I was eating salmon and chicken.
Tragic. That is tragic. I got chills just now when you said that.
I know. So I was eating more salmon and chicken, which is leaner. So my fat ratio was lower last night. I woke up more tired this morning. And, pay attention to what you eat the night before, and that's going to affect your morning's workout.
Can I just add to this that the idea of having an intentional purpose when you're doing something, especially early in the morning, is crucial to that successful endeavor. So the morning routine, if you're just there because you're not focused, right? So Danny is intentional about everything he does, right? So when he gets there, the physical act of going through this morning routine of warming up focuses his mind, right? Teresa's mental act of going through a routine focuses her mind. Will's mental act of taking in information and writing out information activates his brain and focuses his mind, right? So that you're there and you're in the moment. The reason you have lack of energy, aside from a physiological reason, is because you're not engaged emotionally and you're not engaged mentally, and you've got to get yourself to that position. It's not hard, because your brain's going to follow what you tell it to do, right? So you just have to be able to focus yourself, and a morning routine is crucial.
Yeah, you might be in like a sympathetic state, essentially, right. Like you're stressed. The alarm clock goes off, like you don't want to go work out. Working out makes you stressed. Doing what they said with the morning routine is essentially putting you in that parasympathetic state to where you're relaxing yourself down, and then you can go to the gym and get in that proper mode. But if you're just sympathetic all the time, it's tough.
And there's a physical component to this too.
Mm-hmm.
Try a little bit of the supplementation things, the actual products supplementation to see what works. And don't be afraid to throw things away that don't work, right? So
that's where those adaptogens are really helpful too.
Yeah, sure. Next question.
Okay. I talked to Crystal about this a little bit earlier.
Okay, good. Next question. JK.
I'll remember that. No. I had, if you've had previous injuries, so for me, I've torn my ACL and dislocated my knee twice. But what are recommendations? Weight training and high intensity are the only two things that I prefer to do. If I'm doing anything of just regular old cardio, I'm no, I don't want to do you. Bye.
All right. I'd like Danny to answer this first.
What are recommendations? So
for a previous injury?
Yeah, and it's I re-tore recently. Yeah. Or hairline.
Now,
hair,
are you asking about injury, or are you asking about your knee?
I'm asking about recommendations for injuries, what just in general.
So not specifically things for your knee, but if you have an injury, what are some things that you can do to not exacerbate that injury?
Well, I have to get specific because I'm thinking about the knee real quick, because the Q angle for a woman is much wider, so you're going to be much more prone to have these injuries. So Strengthening your VMO is really important. So I just want to address that because I think that's super important. So terminal knee extensions, I don't know if you know about those, like tying like a band to something and then just that final couple degrees, or quarter squats, things like that. That's going to be huge. But then you have to also like trust your process. You have to possibly work with someone who can plot something out for you, so as soon as you're done with your whatever rehab and everything is, you can trust, because then you have to get over the mental component, because now there's a mental component, and then if you're not completely fully locked in, you're going to hurt yourself again, or you're going to hurt yourself in another way. But the main thing is you're just wanting to know, like, how do I get past it? Is that what it is? Just a mental part?
Well, for me, like, I live in a little small town. There's one personal trainer, and she's only there once every month.
Okay.
Literally, she comes in just to give everybody a month. So it's like I don't have somebody that has the guidance, and I've even asked Crystal, and she's just like, well, I'm not physically there. So it's hard to say, like, hey, yeah, you're doing it right,
Yeah.
So
I would...
Yeah, about the injury.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hold on. Crystal, can you say that again?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to yell.
about the injury.
It's easy to give someone a workout that they can follow very easily. But as someone is healing from an injury or has a knee that had been injured multiple times, I personally like to be there in person with them, as to make sure that they're doing everything correctly, because clearly that knee is, something may
Sensitive,
not be, something may not be aligned in your hips and your knees and your ankles, or it might just be sensitive. There might be more going on than what meets the eye. So I would prefer to be there in person. So what can she do without a personal trainer
Here's
there?
my question.
Yes.
Here's my question for you, though. From a practical perspective, how important is that particular injury to you in terms of progressing forward through it? And what I'm getting at is this.
I don't get it.
You're in a small town. Your personal trainer shows up once a month, wearing overalls, I'm assuming.
You knew I was from Texas, I'm guessing.
Yeah, had to be. Is there a town close by?
45 minutes.
That's not far. That is in Texas?
Yeah, well,
It's 24 hours from one side to the next. 45 minutes is like, I drive that to get here. So that's not far. But here's what I'm getting. It's not far, especially if you can meet with someone twice a week, twice a month, whatever it is, on a regular basis, to say, this is what I'm doing, can you show me? And they say, yes, fix this, you're fine. That's worth a 45-minute trip, yeah?
This is my first time driving in Austin in a year and a half. Driving in a city.
Okay, so Austin's the closest city?
Yeah.
Oh, then you have no excuse. There are personal trainers all over Austin and the outlying area. So Google, show me personal trainers in the Austin area, and start calling them and saying, tell them what they want. Drive in. It's worth it. If it matters to you, it's worth it to take that small trip. You know what I'm saying? Does anyone disagree? No. Hell no, they don't.
Can I just say one more thing?
Please.
Sorry. If you don't have the finances to make that travel, to make that trip or the time because you're a mom or whatever it is, you can watch like YouTube videos. Even like Danny's wife posts stuff on Instagram and stuff all the time of how to do things properly. So obsess over those. Obsess over the videos that tell you how to do it properly, the right way, and then practice them with light to no weight at all.
For sure.
And then slowly increase that and make sure that as you're increasing the weight over months or even a year or so, make sure that you're not hurting at all, that everything feels good, because it should feel good.
And I would like to add one other thing. That's a great idea, but when you watch those videos, the ones that you find that are detailed, make sure you're watching different people, because you're going to hear different aspects of the same kind of thing, and you're going to hear the same terminology from different voices. That's going to start ringing in your head, so that when you're going through the motion, it's repeated to you. I've heard
So
Danny.
good. That's
Danny,
so good.
Yeah, he's talked about some of the stuff.
Coaching cues from different people can affect you differently. So someone will say this coaching cue, you don't identify with it, but then you see it from someone else, you totally identify with it. Yeah, that's.
And it's just you'll be down in the middle of whatever movement. We're assuming a squat because we're talking about a knee, and you're like you'll hear one of them saying, "Make sure this." Oh, okay, make that adjustment, and okay, that's what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yep. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, my name is Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi. So my question is, do you have any experience or know of any studies that show EWOT, EWOT, which stands for exercise with oxygen therapy, or just oxygen therapy, being synergistic with keto diet or the keto lifestyle?
I don't know of any.
You know who would probably know about that is Dr. Lemansky, because so he does.
Is Dr. Lemansky in the house? Is there a
Yeah.
Dr. Lemansky in the house?
Yeah, Ryan would probably know
Yeah.
at least.
So how about this? Let's get back to her on that because I don't know any off the top of my head. Unless Sean, you've got some that you know, because we all looked at it. No. Come talk to me and Danny, and
Okay.
we'll get back to you. We'll try
Okay,
to find
perfect.
something.
Thank you.
And that's assuming that it exists, which I'm assuming it does.
It does.
But I want to make sure that it exists in the right paradigm because not every study is correct. It's
Oh,
not-
you mean if the study exists?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I am just after doing keto for about a year, getting into hiking and backpacking, and I'm interested in nutrition for backpacking. I'm, doing multi-day trips and tempted to just bring a vat of coconut oil with me and nothing else but water. And I'm just curious to know what your perspective would be on doing, 15, 20-mile days with a 30-pound pack over a couple of days, ratio of protein to fats.
I just want to ask a couple of clarifying questions before we get into the answers. Okay, there's one. I wanted to ask, so you said 15 to 20-mile days, a couple of days, over rugged terrain or steady?
Rugged,
Okay,
rugged climbing.
Okay, so it's pretty austere. So when you're talking about over a couple of days, are you talking about having to camp on site too, pick up your stuff and walk with it?
Yes.
Okay, you guys got it? Austere environment. We're talking special ops Afghanistan.
All right, so I might be a little biased on this one, but
there's a product known as keto bricks.
yeah. So like, I made the keto brick like for contest prep because I want something that's shelf stable and had the perfect ketogenic macro ratios. It's like 81.5% fat, and it's really good because like when you're traveling or you're backpacking, hiking, it's really good to find it's easy to find jerky, pork rind, stuff that's shelf stable. It has a lot of protein in it, but the fat ratio sucks. This thing's shelf stable and it's 81.5% fat. So you can have that for your fat source with jerky or something like that and pretty much cover all ends of the spectrum.
And I think she was talking about ratio as well. What do you think?
Say that again, please. Ask her.
Were you talking about the ratios?
Yeah, that was a question too.
Yeah.
I mean, could I just go pure fat for a couple of days, or was that not?
Absolutely. Well, yes, you can. You're going to pay for it. Or your companions will pay for it, depending on the situation. You can. You could even do it fasted. I mean, there's nothing to say that you have to eat during that, right?
Yeah, I definitely do full days without eating because it feels comfortable.
So you've got. I'm sorry. You can anything you can stuff in your ruck. I wish Corey was here. He would have this answer. But anything you can stuff in your ruck, nuts, sardines. Olives that you've got in a little Ziploc bag for the salt. Yes, I said a vegetable. Yes.
No
but
fruit.
make sure it's a fruit. Make sure that's violent. It's a fruit. They're coming to my defense. He didn't say vegetable. It's a fruit. It's totally different. But also. You made me lose my train of thought. Thank you for that. Salt. Make sure your water is salted. Make sure your water is salted. Have a nice little canteen, whatever, but have a container of salt that you can dump in there when it's full so that you're continuously replenishing those electrolytes. But do it.
Potassium.
And potassium too. So new salts or even a potassium supplement, magnesium, those kinds of things. I see no reason why. I mean, I personally would bring some steaks. It'll fit in the bag. You got Ziploc bags already.
Freeze them and bring them?
No. What? Freeze them. That's a misnomer. Steaks will last in a bag days. They're perfectly okay. Anybody got anything to add to that? Did that answer your question?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. Yeah.
I'm buying some keto bricks.
Yeah. Well done. Go ahead, Will.
Off the top of my head, for the road, I usually take avocados, sardines, beef jerky, nuts, cheeses, olives, a lot of different things. You can try hunting. No, don't try that. But there's a lot of different options, so I would just get a variety. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so this is going to be an interesting question. This is my nephew, Jake.
Yes. What exercises should I focus on at 15 or 16-year-olds to get bigger but not hurt myself?
Explain your question. Can you pick the microphone up a little bit and explain what you mean, get bigger but not hurt yourself?
Just...
You talking about lifting?
Yes.
I would okay, I'm going to take a swing at this first because I know him, and he's staying at my house. So I'm not sure why you assume that lifting is going to hurt you, but if you're doing explosive kinds of movements and you're not powered and structurally stable through the range of motion, that's where you're looking at getting hurt. So nice, slow, steady, controlled movements is key. But I'll let the experts go at it. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't touch a weight until you can do a squat to depth, full depth, and do several squats. Like
bodyweight squat.
Yeah, bodyweight squat. So like, if you can get like a ton of push-ups with perfect form, pull-ups with perfect form, squats with perfect form, then you're ready to lift, man. You just have to just keep that same form. But if that's where I think people get hurt is like, kids jump into the weights, but they can't even do bodyweight movement yet. So for me, as long as you can do bodyweight movements, even if you were 12, I think NSCA, the National Strength and Conditioning Association, is a little bit, the age for boys is a little bit older, like 13 to 15, and for girls it's like 12 to 14. But if you're even younger and you're able to do tons of bodyweight movements with perfect form, then you can hop on the weights. Just go really slow with the progression. And I would work on building my strength, not testing my strength. So I would work on high volume stuff under control. Have a crazy coach that'll keep you in line like I did, because if not, you're going to want to just go up in weight. I wouldn't go up in weight. I would just focus on, if you do 100 pounds for 8 reps, then focus on trying to get 9 reps. Don't be quick to jump onto like 110 pounds, because that's going to come over time. That's what I would say.
I would like Teresa to weigh in on this as well. We haven't heard from her in a while.
Really? I can't say that training for 15 or 16-year-old boys is my forte.
That's your area of specialty?
But I have got 2 brothers. I think the form is incredibly important. You've got to get in there and make sure that you are doing it correctly and learning how to do that in such a way that once you do start to introduce the weights, that you know then how to also progress that without hurting yourself. One of the things that I've done, particularly around improving my deadlifts, is I'll use visualization techniques before I go down. So on the day that I know I'm doing back, and I'll sit at home in a quiet space for 10 minutes, and I think about that mind-muscle connection for every single part of the movement, because it's quite a complicated lift, and there's an awful lot of muscle groups that are involved in doing that. So I think if you put some time and effort into some of those lifts that you really want to perfect, and the different muscle groups that are used in that, then you would be far ahead of the game and actually and putting weights onto that when you get a little bit older and you want to be able to do that a bit more.
How many push-ups can you do all at one time without stopping?
15.
Total?
Yes.
All right, so if you can do 50, it's time to start the weights. That's my recommendation. But you can't, so go away. All right, next question, please. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Can I say something real quick about that? Because I feel like I was probably 15 here most recently. And I remember that. I think it was about 2 years ago. And so at 15 is when I started a program called Strong Lifts. So it's a 5x5 program. One of the people mentioned this earlier, but basically 15, I think you're trying to get buff and turn heads, and I know where you're at, man. And 5x5 is definitely going to help you with that. But like everybody here has said, start light, get the form down. That's the most important thing. And then slow progression up. I was progressing 2.5 to 5 pounds every workout. Eating enough. At 15, I would not be going too hard on intermittent fasting or any caloric restriction. Eat as much as you need to. Eat more than you need to. Yeah. Sleep as much as you can. But I would definitely recommend compound lifts. Squats, bench press, overhead press, deadlifts, weighted dips, things like that. And just work on those and just be consistent with them. You don't have to be constantly changing exercises and rotating everything. And I feel like that's how you're going to injure yourself.
Yeah.
If you're trying far too many different exercises, especially when you're starting out, just pick a few. Pick those ones like squats, bench, deadlift, stuff like that. Incrementally, increase the weight over time, and you'll start to put on size.
Thank you. Great answer.
Check out my friend Dr. Jacob Wilson too, the muscle PhD. There's a lot of things that you can do before you move up in weight. There's time under tension that you can do. You can move the lever arm forward. If most people start here with a curl. Put your elbow right here. The curl's way harder. There's things like blood flow restriction. There's intraset stretching. There's a lot of things that you can work in before you just move up in weight and you're sitting there jerking and compensating and not really doing yourself much good.
Slow and controlled. All right, last question, please.
One statement and one question. I hope I don't get lynched by the board for saying this, but I've been hearing there's a gentleman in blue and also your nephew that was talking about working out, and the gentleman in blue was talking about, what can I do for if I'm traveling and I don't have weights to be able to work with. And forgive me for saying this, but I don't know if you guys are aware of Jeff Cavaliere at athleanx.com. He actually has a really, really good calisthenic program.
He's awesome. I love
for sure.
And he's got one that you can actually just sign on for, and you do everything in there, and he's talking about the results that people are getting are incredible. So I just kind of wanted to share that because I know KetoCon here, we've been sharing things.
Thank you.
But my question is, dynamic stretching versus actually warming up. I heard you talk about that you enjoy the warm up, and so do I. But I had a friend of mine that was telling me, he said, look, what exactly are you trying to warm up? Jerome, you're at 97.8 degrees. Period. You're wasting your time warming up, do the dynamic stretching, and then get into the gym and do your thing. I wanted to ask what you guys' opinion was versus
I totally want to answer this one. Not that I haven't answered all the other ones, but can you please define for me when you say dynamic stretching, what does that term mean?
Okay. I hope I'm getting it right, but I've had shoulder injuries before, so he's telling me to go in there and just kind of move my hands back and forth to kind of get everything kind of stretched out. Just move my legs back and forth.
Any jiu-jitsu players in here? No? One? Okay. That is how you get limber. That is how you get warmed up, is by rolling. You do not get warmed up by stretching the muscles by the joint. That's how you get injured. So
agreed.
That dynamic, what you're doing is you're increasing blood flow. Oh, look at me, I'm warming up. Look at me, I'm flying away. You're increasing blood flow to the joint, and you're stretching, and you're causing lubrication inside the joint so that that lubrication is what's allowing that flexibility to happen. So absolutely. Absolutely true.
Look at PNF stretching.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because that's what we keep talking about with range of motion and having not just mobility, but stability through the range of motion so you don't get injured. You're actually building strength through that range of motion. That's a much better way to stretch.
So again, jiu-jitsu, right? The way that I warm up the best is by approaching someone and saying, hey, do you want a flow roll? And all it is just you're rolling around. You're not actually trying to do anything. It's literally just you're blobbing up with just another person. You cannot get a better warm-up stretch. I'm more flexible when I'm done with 5 minutes of that than if I were to actually try to, do the traditional kinds of static stretching kind of thing.
That's proprioception training as
well.
Yeah,
also as well. Yes, absolutely. And learning that stability, like in that flow, you're learning, okay, I'm not on balance right now, or my leg is compromised. So learning your body as well, which is crucial. Anyone? Go ahead.
I think it's a little bit specific to what you're doing. So like a dynamic warm-up to me is much more useful for like a movement prep for like a sprint or something. So, but like my typical warm-up, we say warm-up, but a warm-up doesn't mean you're warming your body up. Like I'm warm right now. We just use that word.
Danny, you're hot.
So like for me, for instance, I'll give you a difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding. So with powerlifting, I'm starting with bodyweight movements, and I'm like warming up my hip girdle by walking with the Mark Bell slingshot, the hip circle, and by warming up, I'm actually getting all these muscles, my glutes, all these things tight, because I want them to be tight so they can be stable for the squat.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing, kettlebell squats and kettlebell swings so I can warm up my hip extensors, my hip flexors, all those things. Now for bodybuilding, my warm-up could be let's hop on the leg curl and let's get that knee stability and the hip stability ready for what we're gonna do. And let's start working on activating those muscles and getting them ready for so I can have a good contraction. So it kind of and PNF is another really, really good one because not only are you increasing the range of motion through, reciprocal inhibition, because as I'm flexing this muscle, I'm passively stretching this muscle, yeah. So but you're warming up because there's a contraction there. So, yeah, it's I don't think one is worse than the other.
Does anyone want to add anything to this? Robert, yeah, Robert.
So kind of going back to, kind of depends on your goals, but I used to do a lot more static stretching than I do now. And I did that one time, I followed the whole sprint protocol, track, I feel like they teach you in high school, do all your stretches. And then I went for my sprint and pulled my quadricep muscle and could not walk for 2 days. This was 2 weeks before my competition, not good. So from there, I kind of did more dynamic stretching. So I typically do a 4-set, 15, 12, 10, 8 rep range on a lot of my lifts. But before I start that first set, I'll do a third or half, or a quarter of the weight that I would quad extensions, for instance. Rather than starting at 50 or 60 pounds, I'll start at 20 or 30 pounds. Very, very light. But I'll go incredibly slow and focus on every single muscle fiber popping. And in doing that, I get my head in the right spot to triple, quadruple down on that weight.
That's that mind-body, mind-muscle connection thing.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's intention. And a lot of times certain muscles aren't being activated. And when you do something like that and you think your way through it, you're activating some of these muscles that might tend not to be, and then you get injury from compensatory responses. So, yeah, that's good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is our fitness panel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.